Most of us think that finding our voice is like this big epic quest. Like we have to build it from the ground up, invent some kind of style. But what if I told you that's completely backward? What if your most powerful, authentic voice isn't something you create at all, but something you just uncover? Because it's already there. It's inside you right now, just waiting to be broadcast. This quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? Real authenticity isn't about adding more layers of polish or trying to perform better. Nope, it's about removing the interference, taking off the disguise so that your true signal can finally get through. And to really get what that means, we need to take a trip back in time, way back. So picture this. It's a chilly November night in 1920. You're in this tiny wooden shack perched on top of a factory in Pittsburgh. And inside, a guy named Leo Rosenberg is about to do something that no one has ever really done before. He's about to send his voice out into the darkness using this brand new, almost magical technology called radio. There was no big show, no fancy production. He just spoke. He leaned into a microphone and started reading the election results. And that simple, unpolished signal, just his voice, started to travel through the air, across neighborhoods, and right into the homes of thousands of people who were huddled around these little crystal radio sets, hearing a live human voice beamed out of thin air for the very first time. And here's the part that'll give you goosebumps. As he was speaking, he had no idea if anyone was out there. None. There was no feedback loop, no analytics, no listener count, no likes, no comments. He was literally speaking into a complete and total void. It was just a pure act of transmission, with zero validation. But they did hear him, thousands of them. And what grabbed them, what made them lean in closer to their radios, wasn't some amazing performance. It was the raw, undeniable feeling of presence. For the first time ever, a human voice felt immediate and real and honest, right there in their living rooms. That night proved something huge. Radio didn't just amplify performance, it amplified authenticity. Okay, so that story isn't just a cool piece of history. It's actually the perfect metaphor for the struggle that so many of us face today as writers, as creators. See, like Rosenberg, we're all trying to broadcast something. But unlike him, we've let so much static get in the way of our signal. Think about this parallel for a second. That 1920 announcer spoke into the void. And in a way, we do too, right? When we write a blog post or work on a book. But here's the massive difference. We've been conditioned to constantly seek approval. We start performing for this imaginary audience of critics in our heads, instead of just transmitting what's true for us. So what is this static, really? Well, it usually shows up in three main ways. First, there's imitation. When we try to sound like our favorite authors instead of trusting our own natural rhythm. Then there's overthinking, where we edit our sentences to death until they sound all formal and writerly, and all the life is just gone. And finally, there's performance anxiety, that nagging fear that makes us write for our critics instead of our real readers. All of it just buries the real you. All right, so how do we fight back? How do we cut through all that noise? We can actually take our cues directly from that very first broadcast. It's what I call the broadcast framework. It's a simple 5-step path to finally uncovering the voice that you already have. Okay, here's how it works. Step 1, you've got to clear the static. Get rid of the imitation, the jargon, the pressure. Step 2, you tune the frequency. This is where you find your natural, authentic rhythm. Step 3 is huge. You learn to transmit without apology, to trust that what you have to say is enough. Then you test for resonance, not with the whole world, but with a few trusted people. And finally, step 5, you broadcast consistently. You show up again and again. Now, this framework, it all leads to the single most important and honestly kind of counterintuitive idea in this entire explainer. This is a fundamental shift in how you need to think about your own voice. Your authentic voice is not a skill you need to develop. It's not something you have to go out and find. It is a presence to be uncovered. It's what's left over when you strip away all the performance, all the anxiety, and all the years of people telling you to sound like somebody else. It's the real you. And this, right here, is why this matters so much. In a world that is just flooded with noise, your genuine voice is the one thing that is 100% yours. It's your ultimate competitive advantage, precisely because nobody else on the planet can replicate it. No one. So please, hear this. Stop trying to invent a voice. Your job is to release the one you already have. Just give yourself permission. It's in there. It might be buried under years of static and self-doubt, but trust me, it's not gone. It just needs to be let out. So how do you actually start, like this week? Here are 3 super simple things you can do. First, speak before you write. Seriously? Grab your phone, hit record, and just talk about your idea. Then transcribe it. That raw, unfiltered speech, that's your voice. Second, to clear the static, just write 500 words on anything without stopping to edit or judge. Just flow. And third, test for resonance. Take that piece of writing, give it to a friend you trust, and ask one simple question. Does this sound like me? Because at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. People don't connect with perfect prose. They don't fall in love with flawless performance. They connect with the real, messy, authentic human being behind the words. They connect with presence, not polish. Just like those first listeners back in 1920, leaning in to hear a real person on the other end. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Just for a moment, forget about trying to sound smart or professional. Forget what you think other people want to hear from you. What is the one unfiltered, honest-to-God truth that you can transmit this week? Start right there, because that is where your true broadcast begins.